Hey friends, so I just wanted to take some time to introduce myself. My full name is Jyotsna Bhamidipati and I go by Jo. And I've been a photographer more on the serious side of things for about 7 years now. Before that, I've always had a camera in my hand since I was a teenager. So I've always had that inclination towards going and grabbing my camera and documenting things around me for a very, very long time. But about 7 years ago, I became a little bit more serious into photography on the more technical side of things, as well as a little bit more on the artistic side of things as well. When I started about 7 years ago, I had always thought that I'm going to be an exclusive natural light photographer. It just felt like a very elite term to describe yourself as, you know, as something exclusive, right? But the truth being, when I at that point of time, and even 4 or 5 years into shooting almost every day, I got really overwhelmed with looking anything when it came to studio lighting or when it came to flash, a bunch of different reasons, right? So for me, mainly anything to do with flash felt that it just would look too flashy, or, when you see just light all over the place. And I was like, okay, this is not me at all. Or sometimes I just felt like, oh my gosh, all of these terms feel very overwhelming, because when you go online and you try to see intro to flash or how to get used to working with flash, I feel like there's just so many terms and words out there, and it just feels overly technical. And trust me, I have a background, I am an engineer, and even then I just felt like, okay, this is all just going above my head. I just need someone to break it down step by step so that I am not feeling it just doesn't feel cumbersome to learn something entirely new and feel like I don't know where to begin, right? So the education out there just felt that it didn't really feel easy enough for someone like me who had been photographing kids all the time, and kids are always on the go, that how do I get started with flash or studio lights? And I really loved portraits as well. And even if I wanted my kids to sit in a place and take portraits of them, I just didn't want something to be overly flashy or somewhere where it felt like the light was too flat. So around in the pandemic in 2020, I made a bit of a pivot where a couple of years ago, before that, I had an A1, and this was actually something that I had won through a giveaway. And I remember looking at a ton of photographers' work, and I still felt very overwhelmed. So when I won an A1 with the Profoto, I did not realize how easy it would be to take it out and start using it. And during the pandemic, I started using my OCF, and simply just basically my whole goal with it was to how do I create the studio light experience to feel like it mimics my way of working with natural light as well. Over the past year or so, I have been able to work with my studio light to create a very, very, even a better approach rather from my natural light approach to create a studio feel to my portraits. Now, in this live shoot that I'm going to be taking you guys behind the scenes, I've used a Profoto A2, which is their brand new light, along with my Click Softbox Octa, which is absolutely fantastic because it just really smoothens or softens the light onto your portrait, and you can move around the light wherever you want it to be so that the light doesn't feel as harsh. So one of the best ways when I got started with studio light, the way I wanted to think was, and I talk a little bit more about that in my class as well, that think about your light to be just like a window. The only thing is, you know, in your head, what you need to wrap around is the light that you have, the artificial light rather, you can move it around wherever you want. So you don't have to move your subject. I mean, you could possibly, but you could also move your light wherever you want. Now, you cannot really do that with a window light, right? So this was really something that I had to, and I know it seems really easy, but when you're actually in there shooting, sometimes you forget that, you know, you can be moving your light around and not just your subject. But when I had been photographing just with my window, I would always think about, okay, how is the light falling on me? Or how is the light falling on my subject? How does, you know, do I want the light to be straight on me? And, you know, or do I want the light to come from the side? Do I want the light to come from the front? So think about the angles, think about the positioning of where you want the light to fall on your subject, and treat your light, which is on your light stand with your softbox and your A2 light fixture on the light stand. Think about it just like that. Now, one of the coolest things about this light that I absolutely loved is that it is so light that the combination of using the light fixture along with your softbox, you could literally hold it in one of your hands and use your camera and your lens to shoot with the other hand as well. So, you know, if you're on the go, and that was one of the big things for me, that I always felt like, oh my God, if I have to, you know, put up a whole studio feel outdoors or indoors or wherever I'm shooting at, I have to carry all of this equipment, right? It's the terminology, it's the flash lingo that got me confused, and also the feeling that everything just felt too bulky. So with this Profoto new light fixture, I do not have to worry about the weight or, you know, or any of that, because once I connect the light fixture to the light stand, it was just absolutely super easy to get going, to dial in the numbers, to dial in the light that I wanted it to be at, and just start shooting. So I'm hoping to take you guys behind the scenes, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please let me know if you have any questions. So here I am in my garage, and I just have a lot of stuff around, but I just have this one space that I set up with a backdrop, and this is where I have my mini studio. But if you don't have a garage, you can use any of your bedrooms, any space basically will work, where you could just use, you know, something like an 8x10 space even, and set up a backdrop, or set up, I mean, right now I have a fabric cloth, and, you know, even if you have something that's just very, very simple backdrop that you can set up, or like a plain wall even, that's totally fine. So just use any space that you have, and here we're just trying to create a couple of different looks using the one light approach, where we are trying our best to mimic natural light, and we'll play around with just some soft light, some hard light, just moving around the light setup so that we can see how the light actually interplay actually happens. And I have a very beautiful model here, so we'll just play with light a little bit. So we'll cover a little bit of hard light, soft light, just changing the position of my artificial light that I have over here, and pretty much that's about it. So talking about my one light that I'm going to be using, so here is my Profoto A2, which is an absolutely fantastic light that I really, really love. So it's really this small, and it's just super light. It can really just, you know, you don't really need extensive light setups. Sometimes I think that, you know, one of the main reasons, I've been doing this for more than 7 years, but one of the main reasons I used to be really, really nervous when it came to using OCF was just all the terminology, and just, you know, when you look at all of the when you see the word flash, it's either flash is just too flashy, right? Like, you know, it's just lights up everything in the space, and it just feels too flashy, and you know, you're not really able to mimic your natural light feel that you are so very used to. Or some of the other things that I personally used to feel like, you know, I need to spend thousands of dollars to get all of this equipment and then lug around all of this equipment everywhere I go. So it doesn't really have to be that way. Profoto really has just been my one-stop shop for absolutely everything. So this is really super easy to carry around, and you don't really need huge bags or anything. The light is really compact and it's just very light. So I simply just turn it on. And then what I'm actually going to do is I have my Profoto Click Soft Box. This is the Click Soft Box Octa. So all I'm just going to do is attach my light this way, and it has a magnetic holder. So super simple and super easy to attach it. And then I just simply turned it on, and I'm just going to adjust it to a very basic setting just to get started off with, and then notice how the light's falling on her and kind of just change things around from there. So the light's good to go. And if I need to open it up and close it, I'm just going to show that again. So I detached my light over here. And then if I needed to close the Click Soft Box, that's all I need to do. And then I open it back up again. And then that's it. So it's just really that easy. It really just cannot get easier than this. So then it's got the magnetic clip, and then that's all. And then I'm just going to attach it to the light stand. So I have a light stand right here, and I'm going to put it on the light stand, all fixed over here. The other thing that I can do, if I wanted to adjust the position of the light that's falling on her, I simply just press this button here on my softbox that just adjusts my softbox to tilt down, to tilt up, or any direction I want the light to be in. And obviously I can just move things around as well. So this is all set up. Now I just need to set up my trigger, and then we'll be on the go. Here I have my Profoto Connect trigger, and this is what speaks to my Profoto light, which is the A2 light. And then all I need to do is just make sure that my mode that I'm using it in is set to manual. And then I have to just go over here and then just make sure that the manual is selected as well. And then that the channels are connected to be the same. So here I have my channel to be set up as 1. So I have to just go back there and make sure that my channel is 1. And then sync mode should be the same as well. So as long as they both are set up to be the same, they are speaking to each other. And it's super easy to do that. You simply just have to just rotate the buttons and then select the option that you need. And that's all that you do for your trigger as well as the light as well. All right, so since the light is set up and ready to go, and I am in my manual mode, what I'm now going to do is just play around with my settings and see how the light is and where I need my light to be and how I want to move things around. All right, so before that, something else I wanted to mention is, like I said, I have like a really simple fabric backdrop over here, and then I have my reflector over here. I'm going to be using the black side over here just to get, just to subtract light a little bit. And then I have the white side at the back of it, which we will be actually using as well if you wanted to add some light on the other half of her face. But we're just going to keep the black side right now, just to get a little bit of that shadow in. I do want some soft shadows in. I don't want it to be too harsh. So we're just going to play around with some settings, move around the light, and see what we can do from there. All right, okay, yeah. So what I'll have you do is just with your hands, just put your hands in your pockets, actually. That's really cool. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you can just look straight at me. I'm going to be taking a couple of test shots. Right now, my settings are 1/200 f10 and my ISO is 250 and my light is set at 7.6. Let's play around with a little bit of side light over here. Just going to move this completely to the side. So one of the best ways to think about when you're using your one light is think about it just like you would play around with your natural light window, right? So if you have someone that you're photographing at that spot, and this is where the window is located, so you're going to be having some side light coming in, right? So treat your light where your light is just the way you would treat it as a window. And when you think about it that way, that's really eye-opening because you know, it's actually an edge over using a natural light because A, I can move around my window suddenly, right? That's fantastic. And then B, I can shoot anywhere at any time, even in a dark space like this, and I have an access to a full-blown window, right? That's amazing. So once you get the concept of treating your light just like a window, things just start to become a little bit more easier. All right, so it's this way. Close your eyes, I think. Slightly close. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is move the light just a little bit from the side so that you guys can see the difference as to what the light does when we are moving it from being a direct side light and moving it slightly so that we have a bit more of light falling on her face as well. Slightly look that side. Yeah, do that. Yeah, look back at me that way. Beautiful. Okay. So as you can see, you just have to play around with your settings a little bit and then play with the depth of field to see you know, how much of that really shallow depth of field that you really want on your portraits. I personally tend to prefer to keep my f-stop somewhere around the f6 range so that I know that I'm not going to miss focus, and then everything is like really nice in focus, and I really love to see the texture of skin typically, so that's just something that I really like to do. And then you just have to play around with your light settings as well to make sure that you compensate if you need additional light. And then I try to keep my ISO as low as possible so that I can use my flash settings and compensate in that way. Having your subject whom you're photographing super close to your window, you're going to be having really harsh light, or like rather just, you know, those patches of blown highlights on her face on one side. So you have to really just play around with the distance of how far away you want to keep your model away from the light, but then also kind of just remember that if she's too far away, you may not have enough light on her. So that's the balance that you kind of just have to play around with, and you know, just play around with the balance to see how much light that you need to have from here versus how much do you really want to keep with your settings. I typically like to keep my ISO at 100, as much, typically more than 95% of the time. My ISO, it is at 100, and then I'll play around with my A2 settings to be from 4 up till all the way to 8 sometimes even, and I keep my shutter speed at 1/200, and then my aperture is anywhere from f4 to f10 even, but then it's also really fun to kind of just play with that shallow depth of field that I explained earlier. All right, So I have her slightly closer to this black reflector that I have over here, so that we make it just a bit more shadows, but then I move the position of the light to be coming at an angle on her. I'm going to increase this light to 6. What I'm going to do now, because I was shooting with my 35mm lens, I'm just going to change my lens and then just play around with the light a little bit. I'm going to use my Lens Baby Velvet 85 first. Notice the light fall off from the right side of the subject, which is what you would typically see even if you used window light. I go ahead and change my backdrop so that I could change the scene and the look and the feel of the portrait while also adjusting my light. All right, so here I just changed my lens so that I'm using actually not the Velvet 85, but I'm going to be using the Velvet 56 over here. And right now my settings are f5.6 on my Velvet 56, and then on my camera settings, my shutter speed is 1/200 and ISO is 320, and my light settings over here are 6.0. And I'm going to take a couple of close-up portraits over here. So like just play with your hands, like just, this way. You kind of just look at the light, look at the side, lift up your head. So something like that. So just look away a little bit, and then kind of just lift up your face, your head a little bit, and then just play with your hands a little bit on that side. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Just like that. Beautiful. So here what I just did is I just changed it from black to the white, so I can add some light in, and then I can just get a couple of just some fun shots with a little bit more of even lighting on her face. Okay, so this light. Okay. Right. And I'm still using my Velvet 56 lens over here. So just with your face, let's actually do the shot where you're kind of like facing that way. Okay, facing that way, and then keep this hands like at your back, like you're just keeping it at the back this way, and like give me a little bit of an arch, and you're like just playing around and kind of just looking at me this way. Yeah, perfect. And then for this one, kind of just relax it over here, or let it dangle, or keep it in your pockets. Okay, so here what I want is just lift up your head a little bit. That's it. Perfect, right there. There. Beautiful. Okay, so so now since we had even lighting, just gonna move this back over here, light, and then what I want to do is kind of like just put your hand at the back again like this, and then like arch your back, and then kind of just, or let your hands just dangle this way. Yeah, or both your hands can just dangle that way. Yeah, that's it. Like imagine there's a fan on the top. And let the hands kind of like just like dangle like this way. So yeah, like this, both the hands. Yeah. Like you, yeah. Okay. Can you one second. And then arch your back just a little bit. Perfect. this hand is in the front, like you're walking like this. But so just sit, and then want your legs to be, oh, actually just do that for now. And then the other one that I was just thinking is just, clearly I don't stretch it. Okay, back over here, that I want to use some side light. And then what I'm going to do is use a couple of my Omni wands. So I'm going to sit and talk about it just in a little bit, but I'm going to use the Omni wands and just get some really interesting light effects on the portrait. By playing around with the model's hand positioning and posing, I was able to create some depth in the image. And by using my Lens Baby Omni filters, I added a little bit of that beautiful soft colors that I really love in an image. One of my favorite things about working with the Profoto A2 light along with the Click softbox is that it is super light and it's super convenient to move the light fixture wherever I need it to be so that there is that perfect light on my subject whenever I want that soft and beautiful seamless light falling on my subject. Can we have this reverse? So you're, yeah, this way, and then you're looking, yeah. And kind of just lift up your head a little bit. Yes. Yeah, that's it, actually, this is perfect. Okay, can you bring that hand in the front and kind of like just block the camera, like you're blocking the camera with that hand? So bring it closer, 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 yeah. You can create some nice contrast and drama by playing with the depth of field for your portraits, as well as adjusting the position of your light such that there is this really nice light drop off, by also adding some shadows in your portraits, because shadows really just bring that depth and contrast that makes your subject pop in a beautiful portrait. As you could see, all of these images were shot in the same space, which was really a very small space, not really a huge space. And utilizing what I had, just a plain backdrop, by moving my studio light to where I want the light to fall on my subject, while also playing with a few effects to get some drama, some contrast, depth. I created these portraits that you could just create absolutely anywhere.